Welcome to the Invisible Wheelchair Podcast. I'm your host, Donald Grothoff, along with my wife, Gina. Our goal is to give voice to the hidden mind of Obsessive Compulsive Disorder, better known as OCD. We would love to have your comments or to have you as a guest, or if you wish to tell your OCD or anxiety story, please visit invisiblewheelchair.com. Now, a quick word about our sponsor.
Today's podcast is sponsored by Q Sciences. Don and I discovered that the supplements we were taking and giving to our children were not being absorbed properly. I was very excited when I found Q Sciences. I was impressed with the quality of the products and that they provide maximum absorption. They have a variety of products, including a Q Max product, which is a combination of 3 products, including vitamins, minerals, and a probiotic. They also have hemp oil, a vitamin B12 spray, a sleep spray, and kids products. I've really seen a difference in how these products are improving how I feel, improving my mental health, and I'm happy with the quality of these products and how they're helping our whole family. If you'd like to learn more,
simply go to qsciences.focusedhealthyfamily.com. That's the letter Q, sciences.focusedhealthyfamily.com, or visit invisiblewheelchair.com and find out more information there.
and stop throwing your money away on supplements that don't work and use a quality product like Q Sciences.
And now, on to the podcast. This podcast was recorded September 19th, 2021. This is podcast number 61, The Bumps Along the Road to Nowhere. I was recently asked in an interview what it was like for me through the journey of our OCD, and it's been a long journey. It's been probably over 10 years. And this is what came to me to say, and without any forethought to it, this is what I came up with. Imagine this. OCD shows up at your door with a gun and takes you and your family hostage. It begins to harass you and your whole family, picking especially on one of your kids. In our case, it eventually was 2. You go along with the request even though they are vicious and demanding. At some point, OCD has weakened a moment, and you have the chance for you and your family to escape. You jump in your car and you speed off at 100 miles an hour, not really knowing where you're going and why. You tell Siri to give you directions and it asks you where you want to go. And at first you say, I just want to get away from OCD. Siri, of course, says she doesn't know what you're talking about and doesn't really have an answer. You then tell Siri you want to find an answer to OCD, and she again says, I don't understand what you want me to do. Meanwhile, you're driving over 100 miles an hour. Frantically, you begin searching with one hand on your phone for answers to what you should do or who you should see. When all of a sudden, out of nowhere, a blue car smashes into your car from the side, and OCD is driving. Shaken, but everyone is okay, you quickly find your way around the stunned OCD and continue your journey at accelerated speeds. Before you know it, it's OCD once again on your tail, catching up with you, sending fear and up and down your whole family. You continue speeding along, swerving madly about as you question Siri even further to no avail, and punch in searches on your smartphone. Not getting any good answers. You just keep driving. Answers to where you should go, who you should find, and what you should do are not coming to you, no matter how hard you search. You notice in the rearview mirror that OC is no longer following you, but before you can blink, you're sideswiped by a pink car. Once again, your worst nightmare is that OCD is the driver of this crazy pink car. You're wondering, how does OCD keep changing cars and why? Even though it rattles and smokes, you're able to get your vehicle back on the road. You're exhausted, banged up and stressed to the max, but you just keep driving towards something, somewhere, and somebody. Finally, Siri begins spitting out ideas of places to go and people to see that could solve your problems. But when you get there, a lot of the places are closed or they cannot help you. Once again, you must have found an OCD weakened moment because they are not following you, allowing you to stop for gas and food. You and your family are so paranoid and scared at this time that you stuff the food down, rush out and get back out on the road. You nervously examine the surroundings, looking for another crash car, some sign of OCD, but none can be found. With a slight confidence, you pull out of the parking lot, and what seems to have fallen out of the sky is a red car swerving madly at you. You try to avoid the car, but it seems to follow your every move, and once again smashes into your frail automobile. This time you can't take it any longer. You are mad and tired. You get out of the car, rip off the broken and dented pieces of your car, and much to your surprise you find a shotgun in the back of the car. Oh, finally, the chance to end this madness and kill OCD. But as you approach the spot where OCD was slumped over in the red car, they are nowhere to be found. Out of frustration, you shoot the tires in the engine of the red car, knowing good and well OCD will most likely find another vehicle to come after you with. You again get into your car, moving now without any doors, hood, or trunk. But you are back speeding along, and no real sign of OCD. You naively feel you have ended this, but you travel on anyway. Finally, Siri gives you some places to go, people to see, and things to do, which gives you some feeling of confidence that you might be able to make it through this. You head in those directions, hoping above hope that it will work. But what's that in the rearview mirror? And that's how I ended the story. So I told this story on an interview I did for a podcast, and like I said, it just came out of nowhere, really. They asked me this question. It took me just a few seconds in my mind to think, and then I started speaking. It was really weird, and after I said it all, it really dawned on me that it really it was a good analogy to what our life was like, because it seemed like we just couldn't get past this OCD. It just kept coming back and hitting us hard, hitting us every time we thought that maybe it was disintegrating. And it seemed to morph, just like different cars. It would find itself, if we resolved one compulsion, it would just bring another one. If we got rid of one thought, it would just bring another one. And we're still going with it. In fact, I'm in the midst of writing a book right now about this, and this is going to be in the book actually. But it was it really kind of mapped out how crazy that our life was, and how we're going along in this car that by this time has no doors, no hood, no trunk, and rattling and smoking and just all kinds of stuff. Because it does feel like that sometimes. It really feels, there are times when it feels kind of hopeless. And I'm guessing that if you're listening to this and you're dealing with OCD in some way, shape, or form, either for yourself or somebody, that you have those hopeless moments too. So my encouragement with this is to know that the car keeps going. It doesn't seem to have an end to it, just like the fact that OCD can find a new car, your car keeps going. Because there is hope. There is times, I talked about in this interview, because we were talking about the story of what we went through with the OCD. And I talked about what kept us going were these little slivers of hope, these little slivers of moments, and I mean literally moments sometimes, where OCD seemed to weaken and drop away. With my first daughter, those moments were moments where she was in a place of not being able to touch anything or touch us, and we couldn't touch her. There were these fleeting moments, and I'm talking about maybe 5 minutes, maybe 10 if we were lucky, where we could hug her and we could all cry together and she could go through her apologies. It was that rough, that those were the moments that kept me going, when I was able to again see my daughter within OCD. And that's something I tell people all the time, is just remember that inside of that demon that might be coming at you with OCD is your child or a person you love. And you got to somehow get past that. And it's not easy. I don't say that I am able to do it on a fully regular basis. I still have my moments when it doesn't, when I'm tired, when it's just been enough is enough kind of thing, that I forget about that. But I always seem to try my best to come back. Try my best to apologize. Try my best to continue to remind both of the kids with OCD, as well as my other child, that I love them and that they mean the world to me, and I wouldn't want them gone. I want them here no matter what, that I'm here for them. And that's what's important. One of the things I talk about with OCD and with transgender, with a lot of different things, is the suicide rates on a lot of these can be high. But the difference can be when they have the love and the support of their family, when they're not ostracized because of it, when they are not disowned or whatever, that the family is there for them, supporting them no matter what. So I guess this crazy car thing was, like I said, it was just a realism that came out of me that was just so surprising. But it really did fit what our life has been like. Now I think we are in a much calmer place now, but we still have those OCD strikes. They're just not, they're side swipes instead of smashes, So we're working on it. We're working on getting one of my children into an OCD program. So I hope, if your life is like that car ride, if your life is like that scenario, I hope you can find hopeful moments that can break you out of it, that can take you away from it for a little bit to give relief. Just know that there is hope. Know that there is healing from this. And it's managing, not curing. I don't know that that's necessarily true, because my oldest still goes through some moments. She just recently had a moment where she was out and about and her car started giving her trouble, and she had to count on the help of a stranger who did some things that trigger her, and that they weren't necessarily bad things. My daughter had problems with people who smoke, and this person smoked, but he helped her. He was very kind. He was a wonderful older gentleman, and he was very kind to her and helped her get back on the road and get everything straightened out. And I was so blessed and thankful for this stranger who came along and helped her. She was so nervous, but it triggered her OCD. She told me, but she worked through it. She managed it. It wasn't easy. It made her shake and feel very off, but she got through it. And that's the side of OCD. That's the side of their life that has a hard time going away. I don't think it'll ever quite go away. I think it'll just be more and more manageable, where it won't be a big thing. it doesn't stop her. She continued on. She made it to her destination, and we're getting the car fixed. And we were good. But of course now it made me very nervous because I'm daddy an hour and a half away, not being able to do a whole lot but talk her through it. Which I stayed on the phone the whole trip. So know that there's hope. Know that whoever has this, somebody, in an interview I did for the podcast, somebody said that it felt like a sentence. But know that there's parole, and there is times when you are set somewhat free from it. So I don't know if I like the idea of a life sentence with it, but know that it's possible to have a manageable, a good, fulfilling life. That's the important thing to remember, to give anybody that's going through this the opportunity to know that there's hope, to know that they're not alone, if you are there for them especially, and to be that compassionate coach, as I call it. Not a military coach, not beating them up because of this or that or the other, but being the champion for them that gives them the rah rah sis boom bah, come on, you can do it, I know you can do it kind of thing. So I hope my story has given you some gleam of hope that you can make it through this, and I hope that you will. So take care. This concludes this podcast. We hope you enjoyed it. Remember that we love comments. We also would love for you to be our guest or to tell your story. Simply go to invisiblewheelchair.com. Gina and I want you to know that there is hope for those who suffer with OCD and that it is manageable. And we are here to help you and your family. To find out more about our practice and what we can do for you, go to focusedhealthyfamily.com. Opinions and ideas expressed here are not necessarily those of Focused Healthy Family, Family OCD, Invisible Wheelchair Podcast, or the Grothoffs. Thank you for listening. Keep tapping and focusing forward in your journey.